Hello friends, and welcome to another summer living summer days vlog here on Hila at home. We've been enjoying the first few days of the summer holidays. Finally all the children are off of school and we've just been enjoying waking up much later than what we normally would, and I've been particularly enjoying not having as many after school activities that I have to take the children to. Our weekends are a little bit more freer for me, and so that's been really quite nice. It's been very restorative. I've just had more time on my hands, more time to reflect and to just be rather than focus on doing. The other thing that has been happening is that our plum tree is now copious, full of ripe, rich plums that are, some of them in very high up branches. And the children, every year, it's just a part of our tradition of climbing up the tree to pick as many of the plum fruits as we can. They tend to all ripen at once over the period of about a week or so. So we do have to do a lot of other things to preserve the plums if we want to. They ripen faster than we can keep up with eating them. And one of the things that I do like to make is a spicy plum chutney, of which I will share the recipe in another video. Though the weather hasn't been quite as cooperative as we would have liked it to be, quite a lot of stuff is going on in the garden at the moment. I have a lot of flowers that are blooming, in particular my fuchsia that I just absolutely love, the really wonderful vibrant pinks and reds, and it's just such a very striking plant to have. And this year it's actually flowered. Last year it didn't flower because I had to severely cut it back and move it into a different pot. A lot of the fiery orange flowers are now coming into bloom as we are in August, and it's quite lovely to see. I'm still waiting on the right time to plant out these Canterbury bells, but they have a lot more flowers now, and I've been impressed with how prolific they have been. So I have to spend a bit more time thinking about where I do want to put them. The sunflowers that I forgot to put out, they are producing some lovely small miniature sunflowers, even though they are in very small pots. I've just decided I'm just going to leave them out here on the patio. And they are next to the tomatoes that have fruited, and they're beginning to fill out now. So one of the things that I have done is I've clipped the tops of the tomatoes to stop them from growing and to stop them from producing more flowers. The sweet peas have just been incredible. I have this sweet pea plant growing in with this yellow courgette that is absolutely delicious, and it is producing so many courgettes. We're basically having courgettes every evening with our meals now, because I've got two courgette plants, one which I'll show you later on, but between those two we're able to have courgettes every evening, and I've been able to give away some of the courgettes, which has been lovely. And we also have these gigantic lilies that just cast out the most incredible fragrance, and they have a really lovely pink color, and the pollinators love those lilies, and I love the scent of them, and it's just wonderful having them on the patio. The sweet peas have been prolific as well. We have to cut flowers down every day in order to prevent them from seeding and stopping flowering, but my mantelpiece is absolutely filled with sweet peas, and I've been very, very happy with the grass seed. So this, I've only had this for 3 years. My neighbor gave me some of these seeds 3 years ago to plant, and they've just been seeding themselves since. So now they've reached the point where they're dry, and I'll need to collect the seed for them so that I can replant them next year. They are just a lovely addition, I think, to the patio, and they fit in so well with the marigolds and my cosmos that are really struggling to flower. They've got the beautiful feathery leaves, foliage, but we still haven't had the flowers yet. My son's potatoes are doing quite well, and they should be ready for harvesting in a couple of weeks. I also have another beautiful, fabulous lily plant, and it's a yellow. And when I bought this, I actually didn't know that it was yellow, but this is its second year now, and it is still going strong. And it's lovely to see it on the patio like that, because it does bring a nice contrast to the pinks that I normally go for. A lot of growth has also been happening in the vegetable garden. We have the mange too, the sweet peas, and we're having to pick those almost every other day now and having them steamed with our meals because they are now producing prolifically. And we have to pick them before the peas get too big in the mange too themselves. Otherwise, they'll then stop producing the mange too if you don't pick them often enough, so to speak. So that's been quite wonderful. This is the first year that we've had so much mange too that we're able to have it at every meal, and it's one of those plants that actually produces a lot out of a single plant as long as you keep picking it, such that I think definitely in future we'll be keeping this one as something that will be allocated an entire vegetable bed to itself. This particular crop was the third time lucky. The first seeds that we sowed were completely eaten up by the slugs and snails, and then the second set of seeds that we sowed, only about 3 plants survived, and so eventually we had to buy some pre-grown plants from a garden center, which we then popped in, and they have done well ever since. And we had to be very diligent with the slug and snail defenses as well as the bird defenses, which is why it is under the netting, because once we go past the point where the slugs and the snails were no longer interested in the smaller tender plants, it was the birds that then moved in. But it has been worth it. It's been absolutely worth it because they're really lovely to eat, and the kids love them, and it's a great way to just get some nutritious green vegetables into the garden straight away. Plus, they are fresh. Kale is the other vegetable that has been doing really well that we've been able to pick and use in our meals as well. I particularly like to saute it in some olive oil along with the courgettes, and it goes down a treat as the vegetable. It's also getting to the point where I need to harvest the shallots. So that's the third type of allium, edible allium that I grow. I always love to grow garlic because we use a lot of garlic. And I also like growing onions. They grow really well in our clay soil. But shallots are really lovely because they're very sweet and they work very well, particularly in salads. And they have, I think, one of the best raw onion flavors next to a red onion. I didn't have any red onion this year, but I'm going to rectify that by making sure that I plant some out this autumn. This is the second courgette plant that I have. This particular one is called Ambassador and it is a prolific cropper. And this will go on producing probably until we get the first frosts around November or December time. And I always make sure that whenever we're growing courgette, it is the Ambassador one. And it has this lovely dark green courgettes that are just so delicious. You can almost eat them raw, particularly when they are just nice and small and delicate. Summer evenings are just really lovely because even though my husband works and commutes further afield from where we live, when he comes back from work, no matter how late it is, because it's still quite light, we're able to enjoy time together outside, especially when the weather is being cooperative and not raining. And it is quite nice sometimes when you suddenly catch him also in the tree looking for some fresh plums to have, because my children, they tend to be plum monsters and they will gobble down most of the plums. So that's one of the nice things about summer, is sometimes you'll never know who you catch in the plum tree picking some plums. On the other side of the garden, the Japanese anemones are beginning to blossom, and so there's just this wonderful drifts of pink and yellow that the pollinators love. The Ferdinand Pichard rose is doing really well. It seems to have settled in, and this is its fourth or fifth bloom that I've got from it now, and it has loads of new leaves, and I'm just making sure that it is watered. And then over here we have the rambling rector, and it's got its flowers. It's a really beautiful glossy green leaves, and I'm hoping that it will take over this entire section here instead of the forsythia that seems to be dying off. So I'm really loving this particular west facing side of the garden because it does have a lot of beautiful color coming through, as well as the hydrangea, which is just doing so well ever since I really cut it right back down. It's finally really come into its own. Moral of the story there being, prune the hydrangea correctly. I'm not necessarily convinced that there's anything prettier than a blousy fuchsia. How beautiful are these? They cheer me up no end to see these. I do have several fuchsias, but these ones, they have to be one of my favorites so far. And the battle has been about making sure that, particularly on the days that it's cloudy but it's not necessarily raining, making sure that everything is watered. We do have a camping trip coming up soon, so I sort of have to figure out how I'm going to ensure that things don't dry out. We'll be away for a week and hopefully you join us. I will be vlogging daily our camping trip, our family camping trip. It's that time of the year again. And in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us and coming to hang out with us. This was a bit more of a relaxed summer days vlog, which was a mishmash of some of the things that we get up to during summer, like harvesting the plums and just picking things in the garden, as well as a little bit of a garden walkthrough. Not quite a full garden walkthrough, but just showing you some of the highlights of the colors, shapes, and textures that are exciting me in the garden at the moment. And until I see you next time, lovelies, I wish you blue skies, health, and happiness. Bye.